U.S. government has officially shut down as of October 1st.
Well, y'all, it looks like the shutdown is here. Let's talk about what that means.
The fact that we still expect federal workers to continue working without pay during this government shutdown is fucking diabolical.
Military and civilian personnel are still expected to serve and work during this time.
We don't know how long this shutdown is going to last. However, the U.S. military still has to show up to their active duty bases and will not be getting paid.
Why do we have a spending budget? And why are we always hearing a talk about raising the debt ceiling? But we don't have a savings plan nor an investment plan on behalf of the country.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. You all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown.
Welcome to Real Talk, a channel that's dedicated to capturing the raw, unfiltered perspective from everyday people. No commentary, no interruptions, just real people voicing their frustrations and opinion about the economy. As you've already heard, the U.S. government has officially shut down. My name is Jesse, and in today's video, we'll check out clips from different people sharing their take on it. So if you find value in this video, make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of the video.
Well, y'all, it looks like the shutdown is here. Let's talk about what that means. So as of tonight, Congress has failed to pass a new federal budget, and the White House Office of Management Budget, OMB, that's what you've heard me call it, has ordered all agencies to begin official shutdown procedures. Now, this means unless lawmakers return and agree on a new funding bill before midnight tonight, then the United States government will partially shut down at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what we're looking at is about maybe 3 hours from now, 2.5, maybe 3 hours from now. So the Senate actually rejected a temporary funding bill, H.R. 5371, earlier this evening. Meanwhile, this is what I was talking about earlier. Meanwhile, House Republicans adjourned. They were like, we out, without reconvening for new votes. Now, the OMB, Office of Management Budget, led by Director Russell Vought, sent a memo instructing agencies to execute their plans for an orderly shutdown. Now, that memo also directed federal employees to report to work only long enough to close out operations and process furloughs or perform their essential duties. So let's talk about who's affected first. Number one, federal employees. Up to 750,000 government workers are going to be furloughed without pay starting Tuesday morning. Okay. So we're looking at, I don't want to say Tuesday morning. I want to say Wednesday morning. So let me back up. Let me recant that. Now, essential employees such as air traffic controllers, TSA officers, Border Patrol, and military personnel, they still have to report for duty without immediate pay until the shutdown ends, okay? Now, air travel and transportation, the FAA will furlough about 11,000 employees, while 13,000 controllers and 50,000 TSA officers are going to continue to work unpaid. You can expect delays in flights, inspections, and certifications. Health and research agencies are also impacted with this shutdown. So the CDC will close about 64% of its staff. The NIH will retain only emergency personnel, okay? Public health surveillance, disease tracking, and research programs are going to be paused during this time. Now, let's talk about those community service programs when I come back. All right, let's talk about those community services. Head Start programs, housing assistance, and some nutrition programs like WIC may actually see temporary interruptions depending on state funding reserves that are set in place. National parks and museums are going to begin closing gates and visitor centers Tuesday morning. Benefits and payments. Okay, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and VA benefits will continue since they are quote unquote mandatory spending. New applications and processing for small business loans, passports, and permits will pause. Did you catch that? Now, let me tell you how this is going to affect everyday life. Okay, so how it affects everyday life. It's going to be some delays. We talked about that. So with passports, small business loans, and new federal grants, those will be delayed. Community impact. Local governments and nonprofits that depend on federal reimbursements, childcare, housing, or food aid programs could face those funding gaps unless, of course, those gaps are already being replaced or there is a space in state funding to cover that gap. Economic strain. So now analysts estimate $400 million in lost wages every day that the shutdown continues. Now that's going to slow local economies where federal employees live and actually spend money. So here's what happened next. The shutdown clock runs out at midnight. Okay, so the House of Representatives is adjourned until October 7th. Y'all heard that right, October 7th, meaning the impasse could last for at least 1 week unless members are called back for an emergency session, okay? Labor unions have already filed lawsuits challenging what they call an illegal RIF firing orders, okay? Essential workers will keep the country running from air traffic safety to healthcare response, but their paychecks will be delayed. So here's what you can do. You can check your federal office status by visiting usa.gov, and then you're going to take a look at the agency shutdown status, okay? If you receive federal pay or benefits, direct deposits, or Social Security, Medicare, that's going to continue. New benefit claims or updates you may find will be delayed, okay? For travelers, allow extra time at the airports. Remain patient during this time, since we're going to experience some travel delays because of TSA not being in position, okay? Now, what you can do is go to tsa.gov and check for wait time updates, if at all possible. SBA loans for small businesses, those applications are probably going to freeze, so check with local lenders for bridge financing if it is available. And here's another thing, stay informed. Stay connected to your community, to brownstoneworldwide.com. We're going to continue to stay informed with our little team here as much as we possibly can. And we're going to keep you guys updated as this crisis evolves, because this absolutely is a crisis. So y'all, this is more than politics, and I need you all to understand this. This actually affects paychecks. It's going to affect housing and healthcare and services that hold communities together. Okay, so what we need to do during this time is, number one, identify who you voted for. Remember that. Stay patient, stay informed during this time, and check on your friends and family who are going to be impacted by this. Now, what I'm hoping for is that they get through this and we're able to move forward, because we have seen government shutdowns happen before, but this one seems a little bit different to me. Okay, now we'll continue to keep you updated as soon as we get the information, and maybe you're doing something else or you don't want to be overwhelmed. That's what we're here for, and we'll be providing you with credible information with our news with news sources. There won't be any fear mongering throughout this or whatever. We're just going to give you the facts, and you do with it what you want. Okay, you take the rest, use it to your advantage or whatever, and throw out the bones. Throw out what you don't want. All right, so just facts and clear guidance from us. And here's something else, y'all. Stay informed. Stay empowered. Remember, we're still the people. And stay woke. For more news and information that you can use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, Brownstone Living Magazine. We'll see you around.
The U.S. government has officially shut down. Here is exactly what that means for you. As of midnight, Congress failed to pass a funding bill, and the federal government has now entered a shutdown. Now, essential services will continue. Social Security checks will still go out. Medicare and Medicaid remain in place. The military, Border Patrol, law enforcement, and air traffic controllers will keep working. But here's the catch. Most of those workers won't be paid until the shutdown ends. The bigger impact is on federal agencies. The Department of Health and Human Services is furloughing more than 40% of its staff. At the CDC, nearly 2/3 of workers are being sidelined. And at the National Institutes of Health, it's close to 75%. The FAA will furlough about 11,000 employees. Flights will keep running, but training and safety checks slow down. National parks may technically stay open by using visitor fees, but without staff or rangers, most will be inaccessible or unsafe. Now, here's what's unusual this time. The White House told agencies to prepare not just for furloughs, but for permanent layoffs and reductions in force. Even the Department of Housing and Urban Development put a banner on its website blaming the, quote, radical left for the shutdown, something experts are calling an unprecedented use of official government sites for political messaging. So why is this even happening? Well, the fight is over healthcare subsidies, Medicaid, and broader social spending. The House pushed a short-term funding extension, but the Senate rejected it, and neither side is backing down. Until Congress and the president reach an agreement, the shutdown will continue. Every day it lasts, hundreds of thousands of federal employees go without pay, scientific research is delayed, permits and projects are frozen, and the economy takes a bigger hit. For context, the last time that this happened, that the government shut down, was in December 2018. It lasted for 35 days, which was the longest in U.S. history. This is the first shutdown since then, and experts say it could be just as costly. The big question now isn't just how long will this last, but whether some programs and agencies could face permanent cuts once the dust settles. As always, I will keep you guys updated, so hit that follow button for more news.
The U.S. government has officially shut down as of October 1st. Now, us people of the nation, we know what this means and what it could mean. All I'm going to say is be prepared, stay cautious, and stay around loved ones at all times. Stick with family and just watch for what happens next.
We're officially in a government shutdown. It is October 1st, 2025, and the last time we had a government shutdown was in 2018. That shutdown lasted 35 days, and it was the longest in U.S. history. And as of right now, we don't know how long this shutdown is going to last. However, the U.S. military still has to show up to their active duty bases and will not be getting paid. Oh, and let's not forget that President Trump said today that he was going to deploy the National Guard to different cities to combat crime. And if the president deploys them, they have to be paid through federal funding. So if they are deployed this month while the government shutdown is happening, that means that the National Guard will not be paid until a later time. You know, like an IOU. For those of you saying that the National Guard or anybody in the military should just not show up if they're not going to get paid, yeah, that's called being AWOL, and you will go to jail for that. Because in our general orders, we are not allowed to leave our posts until properly relieved. And whether you like it or not, you have to show up. Let's pray and hope that these people can get it together and the government shutdown doesn't last more than 24 hours. Because 35 days or exceeding the 35 days like last time, that was a hellhole.
Well, it's official. They shut down the government. The political theater, let it begin. You know, it wasn't complicated what the conservatives and the Republicans were actually asking for, but you know, Democrats and liberals, they love to give free things away to illegals. And you know, Schumer, he's got to watch out for AOC, so he's got to be the tough guy that stands up to Trump, apparently. But let's be so for real. If Schumer, AOC, and Gavin Newsom is what we have to worry about in the primaries, it's going to be easy to win this one. But let's see how good any of their acting is, right? Because, they decided to shut down the whole government because of it. I still can't believe, I mean, they were really genuinely asking for $1.4 billion to fund free healthcare to illegal immigrants, and yet there are still people popping in my comment section saying, there is nowhere in the United States where we get, yes there is. Yes there is. Try California, try New York. Here's what I say, you know, out of all of this, we are going to get some good content because, again, if it's AOC, Schumer, Kamala possibly, Gavin Newsom that are up for the primary, like, this is going to be great. And this is Schumer's big plan. Shut the government down. That's your big plan. Okay. Stand up to Trump. Be big bad bully. Okay, we got it. Y'all, can you tell I'm tired? I need to go to bed. I'm just going to go to bed. Good night.
Longest shutdown in U.S. government history was 5 weeks. It was from December 22nd, 2018 to January 25th, 2019. That was also under Donald Trump. Actually got married in January of 2019 before the shutdown ended, and we were really worried because we were going on our honeymoon to Hawaii, and we were like, how does TSA work if the government doesn't? I had been working for this company that was sending me around the country to different dumb locations, so I had been accumulating quite a few airline points. We flew to Hawaii for $90, and then we were able to island hop to a couple different islands for like $15 a piece. Took to our third island destination for security to realize that my husband had been running around with a Sweeney Todd-like razor blade. I don't even know where he got it. or like why he decided to take it to Hawaii, the man has a beard. We went to Volcanoes National Park. They wouldn't let us pay. It was very strange. And there were all these signs up everywhere about how the government was shut down, and all of the donation boxes had black paper on them so that you could not donate. They still sold us t-shirts. It was an interesting experience. I highly recommend going out and doing things that usually you need the government for while the government is in recess. It's a fun time.
Well, it looks like we are barreling towards a government shutdown, and here are 5 things I think you need to know. Let's talk about it. Disclaimer, you know I have my notes, so if you see me looking down, that is what I'm looking at. 1, military and civilian personnel are still expected to serve and work during this time, all right? However, their payment or their paychecks will be delayed until the government reopens. Veterans benefits will continue, okay? However, regional VA offices are expected to be closed. 2, air traffic controllers are still expected to work during this time. However, similar to what's going on with the military, they will not receive payment, okay? In addition to that, the Department of Transportation will have a hiring freeze during this time. So if any new air traffic controllers were on the books to be brought on or trained, all of that stops until the government reopens. 3, benefits and services. Now, for those who receive Social Security payments, you still will continue to receive those payments during this time since it is mandatory by law that they are issued, okay? However, your payment and how it is processed may be impacted since many of the individuals that work for the Social Security Administration may be furloughed. So yes, you are expected to get your payment. However, the question remains, when will you get your payment? For Health and Human Services, or HHS, all right, 32,000 workers are expected to be furloughed. The department has a total of 80,000 workers that work for the department, so that is significant. And grants and contracts that are issued by HHS, okay, are expected to be on a freeze, okay? So that can impact a lot of nonprofit organizations as well as universities who receive funding from HHS. 4, if you have any travel scheduled to, I'm thinking, let's say DC, the Smithsonian's as well as the National Park is still expected to be open during this time. However, you should be fine. So you should be fine with that. But I'm thinking, how will the service you receive at these places be impacted? Because some of those workers may be furloughed, okay? In addition to that, the National Park has not released their plan for what would happen during this recent government shutdown. However, if you base it off of their practices from previous government shutdowns, national parks tend to close during this time. 5, last but certainly not least, I think that it is very important to know that during this government shutdown, the president as well as members of Congress and the Senate will still continue to be paid. In addition to them, Supreme Court justices will still continue to be paid as well as federal judges. So get down in the comments and let me know what you think about this furlough. I want to know, how long do you think it will last? Let me know that, and your feelings about who gets paid versus who does not get paid. Also, if you found any value in this post, please make sure to like and share. And don't forget to follow the Black Death Society, where pop culture, politics, and money meet.
We haven't heard, apparently the government's shutting down tonight, and all federal employees who are mandatory have to still go to work tomorrow, but they will not be getting paid from my understanding. Me personally, I don't think I'd show up to work tomorrow if I wasn't getting paid. So my question is, are federal employees going to be at work tomorrow?
The fact that we still expect federal workers to continue working without pay during this government shutdown is fucking diabolical. Because you're telling me that we are expecting these people to still wake up early, pack their fucking lunch, commute to work, sit at their desks, and perform their job duties fully and safely, all without getting pay. Oh, and then fun fact, members of Congress and the president still get paid during government shutdowns because their pay is constitutionally protected. So, hello?
Now, I'm fine with the government shutting down. Yes, people are going to be affected. All of us have been affected for decades, and I believe if people really knew the truth about a lot of stuff, people's mindsets, most people's mindsets will be changed. Some people still will go along with the evil plans and plots and stuff that's been going on for a long time. But I'm looking for change on behalf of the American people, legal citizens, that is. And I want to see what's going to happen here. I think it's time for the government to shrink. I'm tired of, based on the things I have learned so far, I'm tired of the nefarious things that has been happening. I mean, we don't really know where all the money's going. We only have their word for it. Now, can you perfectly trust any particular government or any particular politician that gets in for their terms and all that? No, you can't. Why? Because people are people. But I have my trust in the highest powers, and I do trust in President Trump. And so if it's going to be for the best of the country, on top of it, let me say this. We wouldn't be at this point, at this stage in this country's existence, if we had a plan that actually did benefit the American people. Not in part, but as a whole. But think about it. I have wondered over the past year or so, couple of years, why do we have a spending budget? And why are we always hearing a talk about raising the debt ceiling, but we don't have a savings plan nor an investment plan on behalf of the country? I mean, come on, that's business sense. That's actually a consumer sense, if you will. There's some people, everybody don't have it, I know, but many people have a budget, a spending budget in their personal lives, so they have a savings plan. Things may not always go according to that plan, but they at least have it. And then you have people, most Americans believe in an investment plan called the 401k or some other strategies people have to increase their money. But why don't our so-called politicians, except for Trump, come along and say, hey, how come we don't have a way to increase the wealth and take a burden off of we, the American people? Use tariffs, for example, because the countries have been doing that against us. I didn't know all of that before Trump came in and started talking about it. Some of you probably did. And so, the past year has been another learning experience to learn that countries have been hitting us, benefiting off of us for decades. And all these politicians who are come and go, some of which who are still in office in Congress and in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, these so-called representatives, they really get me. Most of them anyway. I'm not saying there are no good ones, but I believe there's a lot of corrupt ones in one way or another. They supposed to represent we the people. How come they didn't come up with this plan? How come they never thought about the benefiting us to where they don't have to be challenged with or faced with government shutdowns? All that money they take from us year in and year out, and they have no money sitting aside for emergency or rainy times. Come on, y'all. And they go to Harvard and Stanford and some of these great colleges and these great systems, and they can't do no better than many Americans who have a lot less money to deal with. These folks have access to billions and now trillions of dollars. Terrible managers, always increasing the debt ceiling. You know what? Wouldn't it be nice if you could actually increase your debt ceiling? Wouldn't that be nice? It wouldn't necessarily benefit your lender, but it would benefit you. They play by a different set of rules, and the very thing you or I would go to prison for, they get away with legally. So I'm for government shutdown if it's going to truly benefit the nation. I'm for downsizing our government if it's going to be in the best interest of we the people. So God bless you, President Trump and company, and God bless America, and let the truth, not your truth, not my truth, but the truth be exposed and come to the light. See y'all in the next one.